Divorce sucks, but it doesn't have to define you. You're not alone, and you're not powerless, even when everything feels like it's falling apart. Welcome to The Difficult Divorce, a podcast that cuts through the drama and confusion to give you clarity, confidence, and straight-up real talk. Hosted by Molly Rosenblum, family law attorney, fierce advocate, and the one you want in your corner when it all hits the fan. Each week, we'll break down the legal, the emotional, and the unexpected so you can take back control. Because smart decisions start with straight answers.
Welcome everybody back to The Difficult Divorce, the show where we help you navigate the legal, emotional, and financial twists and turns of ending a marriage. I'm your co-host, Anthony.
And I'm Molly Rosenblum, founding attorney of Rosenblum Allen here in Las Vegas, and we're here today to break down the realities of what it's like when you're facing a divorce. Starting with one of the most common and nerve-wracking questions, how much is this going to cost me?
And let's be honest, Molly, no one really likes talking about legal fees, but avoiding this conversation can lead to way bigger problems down the road.
You're absolutely right, Anthony. Divorce can get really expensive, but it doesn't have to spiral out of control if you know what to expect and you plan ahead. So today we're pulling back the curtain on what really drives the cost of divorce and how you can manage to keep your legal bills in line.
So let's start simple. What are the basic costs involved in a divorce?
So at a minimum, you'll be paying filing fees to the court, and these are set by the court in the state of Nevada. Each court has their own set of filing fees, but in the family court, you can expect that a filing fee for a divorce is going to cost you about $300. Then on top of that, you're looking at attorney's fees. So if you decide to hire a lawyer, that's going to be the fees set by the attorney for the work they do on the case. And some people pay a flat fee. For example, in an uncontested divorce, our firm can do that as a package, and we generally charge a flat fee for that, but most divorces are billed hourly. And so what you can expect with that is paying what's called a retainer. It's like a deposit, and then the attorney will bill by the hour. So in custody, divorce, property cases, anything that looks contested, you should expect those to be hourly cases.
What does hourly billing typically look like?
Great question, Anthony. So every attorney is different, and what their hourly rate is going to depend on a lot of different factors. Usually it's based on experience. Sometimes it's based on caseload level. So if an attorney is super busy, they might raise their hourly rates. But at our firm, we're very clear up front about what our rates and what our retainers look like. And like I said before, the retainer is just the money that we hold in trust. We usually will keep track of everything we do on the case, and then we bill by the hour. So at the end of each month, our clients get an invoice for the amount of work we did, billed at our hourly rate. And again, it just depends on who is working on the case. So for example, a paralegal might charge less than someone like me, who's the firm owner and has 25 years almost of experience. For my work, it's definitely going to cost a little more than, let's say, somebody like Nui Harris in my firm, who's a first-year attorney.
Well, that makes sense. You're paying for experience. So, if you wanted to keep your, costs a little lower, you would probably go with a cheaper attorney. Maybe one that has less experience if you're in an uncontested divorce. But I want to change topic a little bit. Let's talk about flat fees. People love the idea of one-and-done costs, right?
Flat fees in Nevada has actually become a little bit of a controversy because recently our Nevada Supreme Court came out with a decision that says even though you're billing flat fees, it used to work where if you billed a flat fee, the attorney could take the money out of their trust account right away. Now what the Supreme Court requires us to do if we're billing on a flat fee is to actually keep track of our time and not bill until certain benchmarks or milestones in the case have been made. So we can't actually take that money. So the idea of a flat fee is becoming less and less attractive for attorneys because you're still having to keep track of your time. And so usually attorneys are going to lend themselves towards the hourly fee more. But the truth is flat fees in reality only work in really, really limited circumstances. like when the case is uncontested or if there's no property or the parties have reached a full agreement and just want the attorneys to try to help draft it up. As soon as something gets contested or becomes more complicated or extensive negotiations take place, you're going to find that an attorney who was billing on a flat fee is either going to tell you they've got to get out of the case, or they're going to want to change that fee agreement to an hourly agreement.
So that's where things can get kind of unpredictable and a little bit more expensive.
Absolutely. Things can get expensive, but as a client, you have more control than you think. If you respond to emails efficiently, you come to court prepared, you work towards a settlement instead of a contested or super contentious divorce, then you can actually keep your costs down. What we try to explain to our clients is if you're emailing, for example, try to get as much out in the email as possible instead of sending multiple emails a day or sending an email and then calling and then sending another email, because every interaction with the attorney is going to be billed and with the firm in general for that matter. So you want to make sure that you are thoughtful about how you communicate with your attorneys and getting the most bang for your buck.
That makes sense to me. Think about all your questions during the day, send your email at night, wake up in the morning, get all your answers, and you saved yourself some money too. Let's talk about hidden costs. What do you think surprises some clients?
Definitely there can be surprises in terms of costs when it comes to a divorce, especially if you're tagged with things like a custody evaluator or a brief focused assessment or even an appraiser for a home. So those are all things that come out of the client's pocket, and the client is expected to pay those experts directly. So for example, a brief focused assessment, if you go to court and say, hey, my child doesn't want to spend time with the other parent, the court may say they want the child interviewed. They may ask for a psychologist or a therapist to do a brief focused assessment, and that can end up costing the client hundreds or even thousands of dollars that maybe they weren't prepared to spend. In addition to that, private mediation. So that's another one where clients can sometimes find that they're spending not just for the attorneys, but also for a private mediator. And so we try to prepare our clients for things like that they should really consider creating what's called a litigation budget, and we can assist clients in doing that. And that helps them sort of anticipate what the costs are going to be.
What do you think is helpful for clients to be prepared for what this could possibly cost them?
Like I talked about, creating a litigation budget is definitely helpful, and it can help clients focus down on what they can reasonably expect, where their money is going, and help them avoid surprises. And again, we work with our clients to try to help them prepare a litigation budget to try to eliminate somewhat of that sticker shock of hiring a lawyer for their case.
That makes sense, go in focused and come out hopefully paying less money. But let's see, give us your top 5 tips for keeping divorce costs in check.
Absolutely. My top 5 checklist for keeping your costs down in a divorce would be number 1, be organized. Like I said, be thoughtful in your communications. Don't show up to meetings empty-handed. Recently, I had a client schedule a meeting. We met. I gave him a list of things to come back to my office with at the next meeting. It was a custody case, so I wanted text messages and pictures and doctor reports. And when he showed up at the meeting, he didn't have anything. And so we sat down, we talked a little more, and he was billed for that second meeting, even though he didn't bring anything to the meeting. So it was really somewhat unfortunate for him because he did take more time and an additional meeting after that. So now a third meeting to go through his documents when he should have been bringing those documents to the first meeting. So again, be organized when you show up to meetings with your attorney. If the attorney asks you to bring documents or prepare documents, make sure you have those prepared. Nothing wrong with calling your lawyer and saying, hey, I need a little more time. I need to get those documents or those items organized before I come in. Second, like I said, communicate wisely. If one email works, don't send 5. A lot of times clients will keep going and keep going and keep going. And the reality is you could just send one email or communicate all of your questions in one email instead of 5 emails. That's where people can find that they spend a lot of money with their lawyers. And again, somewhat of that sticker shock when they get their bill, they're asking, well, where did all my money go? And it's simply just in communicating back and forth because, maybe things aren't clear or the client isn't understanding something, or they just have a ton of questions or they're asking the same question over and over. So the third thing I would say is consider settlement early. Like we talked about, create that litigation budget and ask yourself if this is really the best use of your money. Are you spending $10,000 to try to fight over $1,000? Think about settling your case. Sometimes people want to argue about pride or about, quote, justice. As practitioners, we try to explain to people that the court is there to enforce the law, and the law isn't always how you feel the cases should resolve. And so thinking about settlement early on can save you tens or even, tens of thousands of dollars. Next step or next tip I would give people is to trust your lawyer's strategy. We get a lot of clients who are using ChatGPT or Google or whatever it is to research things, and that's totally fine. But a lot of times, especially ChatGPT, is not a substitute for your lawyer's experience and knowledge of the court or the judges. If you're having difficulty communicating with your lawyer, understanding your lawyer's strategy, there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion or talking to another attorney. But if you are arguing with your attorney for the sake of arguing or, just questioning every single thing your lawyer's doing, and again, there's nothing wrong with asking questions, but ChatGPT or Google, they're not a substitute for your lawyer's experience and knowledge. So having that trust with your attorney, finding an attorney you can work with early on, that's a huge one. That's going to save you a lot of money. And I can give just a quick example of that right now. I'm working with a client. He is in a particularly difficult divorce. It's a pretty big struggle. Every document that we prepare for him, and again, my firm, we've been doing this combined experience is pretty close to 100 years. Every document, every sentence in every document, he is questioning, and he has run through thousands of dollars because he's having difficulty trusting us. He's taking what we're doing for him and running it through ChatGPT and running it through Google and asking his friends and asking his coworkers. And at the end of that, he may have spent thousands of dollars on a lawyer that, we just find we can't work that way, or the client just doesn't feel that trust for us, and it may dissolve the attorney-client relationship, and again, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So develop trust with your lawyer early on. If you don't have it, seek a second opinion. Find a lawyer that you can work with and that you trust. You will save yourself thousands of dollars. Finally, my last tip, understand your agreement. Understand the documents that are being created by your lawyers in the court. If you don't understand something, again, feel free to ask your lawyer, have that conversation. Don't guess. Don't tell your lawyer, hey, I understand it if I don't. If you sign something that you don't clearly understand, and later it comes back that, hey, what you signed wasn't really what you thought it was, you're going to spend more money to go back to court, more money on different lawyers probably, to get that agreement undone or to redo a settlement or to redo the divorce decree. And that's just going to cost more and more and more money. So having a clear understanding of what you're agreeing to or what's going in your documents up front, that can save you lots and lots and lots of money.
That's all great advice, Molly. Unfortunately, divorce isn't cheap, but it doesn't have to wipe you out either.
That's right, Anthony. Being financially prepared and legally informed is the best way to protect yourself. If you're feeling overwhelmed by what this process might cost, Talk to your lawyer early. That conversation can save you thousands of dollars. And again, we try to explain to our clients at the initial consultation what the expectations of costs for a contested litigation or a contested divorce might look like. If you don't understand how the billing works and how the costs are going to go, make sure you have that conversation with your attorney so that you do understand it and you can be prepared.
That's great advice as well. Ask your questions, be prepared, understand where your case is, talk to your attorney, and hopefully you can save yourself quite a bit of money. Thank you again for joining us on The Difficult Divorce. If this episode helped you, please be sure to subscribe and follow us on your preferred podcasting platform. Leave us a review. They really help us out, and share it with someone who you think might need it.
And don't forget, knowledge is power. The more you know, the better you can protect your future. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Difficult Divorce. Follow, review, and share if this helped cut through the noise. Find more tools and real talk on our website at rosenblumlawlv.com. And be sure to tune back in for the next episode. Because in divorce, what you don't know will cost you.